Overthinking is not simply a habit. It is a silent thief of time, energy, and clarity. When we overthink, we find ourselves replaying past events or worrying about future outcomes, trying to solve problems that often don't even exist yet. It creates mental traffic where calm roads are needed. The more we dwell on our thoughts, the more tangled we become in possibilities, doubts, what-ifs. But to overcome it, we must first understand what overthinking really is. It's the excessive analysis of situations that often leads to inaction. It is thinking without progress, spinning the same thoughts repeatedly, hoping a solution will appear just because we are mentally active. However, activity is not the same as productivity. Imagine your mind as a tool, like a knife. Its sharpness is useful when you are focused on a specific task. If you carry that knife with the blade pointed toward yourself all the time, it can cut you. That's what overthinking does. It turns your own intelligence against you. It makes you question your value, your choices, your future. But a tool is meant to be used, not lived inside. Your mind is a tool for planning, reflecting, and creating, not a place to build fear and self-doubt. Understanding overthinking also means realizing that not all thinking is helpful. Productive thinking leads to action. Destructive thinking leads to paralysis. You know you are overthinking when the same thought reappears again and again without resolution. It might be about what you said yesterday, what someone else might be thinking about you, or what will happen if you make the wrong decision. This mental pattern becomes a cycle, an exhausting, invisible loop that drains your energy and steals your peace. The truth is, overthinking is often a disguise for fear. Fear of failure, rejection, or uncertainty. But no amount of thinking will ever guarantee certainty. Life is uncertain. The future is unpredictable, and perfection is impossible. That's why overthinking is not a solution, it's a stall. Delays growth and holds you back from real experience. You must train yourself to recognize when you are caught in that spiral. Ask yourself, am I solving a problem or am I feeding one? The key is awareness. You can't fight what you don't see. But once you start noticing the pattern of overthinking, you can interrupt it. You can take a breath, come back to the present moment, and choose a different thought, one rooted in clarity, one that leads to forward motion. Understanding overthinking empowers you to reclaim control. It reminds you that thoughts are not facts, possibilities, and you get to choose which ones to follow. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them, shapes them, and decides what they mean. When you understand that, you begin the journey of living not in your mind, but with it, calmly, wisely, and powerfully. There is a crucial difference between using your mind as a tool and being trapped inside it. One leads to a life of purpose and clarity. The other leads to anxiety and self-doubt. Most people don't recognize when they've crossed the line. They believe they're thinking things through, being cautious, or analyzing possibilities. But in reality, they've become stuck in their own mental world, disconnected from the present, overwhelmed by imagined outcomes, and unable to act with confidence. Living with your mind means you are in charge. Living in your mind means your thoughts are in charge of you. The mind is an incredible resource. It can generate creative ideas, solve complex problems, and help us grow into our best selves. But when left unchecked, the same mind can become a maze with no exit. When you live in your mind, you over-identify with every thought and emotion. You don't just experience worry, you become the worry. You don't just plan, you get stuck in analysis paralysis. Your mind starts running a narrative, and you forget that you are not the story. It's just passing through you. Living with your mind is different. It means you are aware of your thoughts, but you don't let them consume you. Run into the park. You use your mental energy when needed, like a lamp you turn on in a dark room. Not something that stays on all day and burns you out. You can choose what thoughts to focus on and, more importantly, which ones to let go. You become the master of your mental environment. This distinction is vital. So many people live as though their thoughts are ultimate truth. If they think something bad might happen, running through it will. If they remember a past mistake, they feel like they're still trapped in it. But thoughts are not facts. They are patterns shaped by our past, our fears, and our environment. When you live in your mind, you are reacting to those patterns blindly. When you live with your mind, you respond with awareness and strength. It's the difference between driving a car and being a passenger in the back seat blindfolded. One gives you control. The other leaves you vulnerable to wherever the mind decides to go. You must learn to take the wheel. Start by practicing detachment. When a thought arises, ask yourself, is this helping me right now? If it's not, let it pass. You don't have to engage with every mental impulse. Meditation, breathing exercises, journaling, these are powerful tools to help build that distance between who you are and what you think. That gap is where wisdom lies. You can choose to use your mind like a skilled craftsman uses a tool with precision, intention, and clarity. Or you can stay trapped inside it, wandering halls built from fears, doubts, and stories that may never be real. The freedom begins when you decide to step out and live with your mind, not in it. Through the park. Mindfulness is the bridge between chaos and clarity. It is the practice of becoming aware of your thoughts without getting caught in them. In a world where distractions are constant and mental noise never stops, mindfulness allows us to step back and observe. It is not about stopping your thoughts or silencing your mind. It is about seeing them clearly like clouds drifting across the sky without letting them drag you into a storm. When we become mindful, we create space between stimulus and response. That space is where peace, power, and clarity live. Overthinking thrives in the absence of mindfulness. It pulls you into stories about the past or worries about the future. It makes you forget where you are, what you are doing, and what truly matters. The moment you become mindful, the overthinking loop begins to dissolve. You are no longer blindly following your thoughts. You are watching them running through the park. You begin to realize that most of your stress doesn't come from what's happening around you, from the way your mind interprets what's happening. Mindfulness is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, monsters you feared turn out to be shadows. The pressure you felt turns into manageable moments. You stop reacting and start responding. That's the key difference. Reacting is automatic. It's driven by habit, emotion, and past conditioning. Responding comes from awareness. It's deliberate, thoughtful, and rooted in presence. This presence, cultivated through mindfulness, is not passive. Running through the park. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing everything with full attention, whether you're walking, speaking, listening, or working. Mindfulness asks you to show up fully. When you do, your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. You begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You notice patterns you never saw before. And with that clarity, you can choose a better way forward. Practicing mindfulness doesn't require hours of meditation or perfect conditions. It begins in small moments. Take a few deep breaths. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Listen to the sounds around you without judgment. Notice your thoughts but don't become them. When your mind starts to spiral, gently bring it back. Again and again, it's in this returning that the mind is trained. Each return is a reminder you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. As mindfulness grows, overthinking weakens. You no longer chase every doubt or fear. You recognize them for what they are. Passing mental events, absolute truths. This awareness builds emotional resilience. It helps you make decisions with a calm mind and an open heart. To learning the park, you start to live more intentionally with less mental clutter and more inner peace. In a noisy world, park mindfulness is the quiet strength that keeps you grounded. It teaches you to live from the inside out, not the outside in. And when you do, you no longer drown in your thoughts. You float above them, clear, calm, and in control. That is the power of living with your mind, not in it. Present to the past, the present moment is the only place where life truly happens. Yet, most people spend their days mentally traveling, either reliving the past or rehearsing the future. This constant mental movement robs us of clarity and creates unnecessary suffering. Overthinking pulls our awareness out of the present and into a world of imagined problems, unresolved regrets, or uncertain outcomes. But clarity, focus, and peace are only available now, in this very moment. The power of present awareness lies in its simplicity. It brings us back to what we can actually influence, what we are doing right here, right now. When we are not present, running controlled by thoughts that don't serve us, we begin to make decisions based on fear instead of wisdom. Running through the park, we react emotionally instead of responding calmly. We miss the beauty and meaning in the small moments of life. Overthinking clouds the mind like fog over a mountain. But presence clears that fog, allowing us to see the path ahead with greater perspective. Through the park, being present doesn't mean ignoring the future or forgetting the past. It means we acknowledge them without being consumed by them. We learn from the past, plan for the future, but we live in the now. Every time you notice your mind drifting, you have a choice: follow the thought, or deeper or gently bring your focus back. Whether it's your breath, your senses, or the task in front of you, choosing to anchor your awareness in the present is an act of discipline and power. Most overthinking is fueled by the need for control. We replay conversations to figure out what went wrong. We imagine all possible outcomes before making a move, hoping to avoid mistakes. This mental effort rarely brings clarity. It often creates confusion. When we return to the present, we let go of the illusion of control and begin to trust the process of life. From this grounded state, our actions become more effective, our relationships more meaningful, and our minds more peaceful. To cultivate present awareness, practice simple habits, so your day with a few mindful breaths instead of grabbing your phone. Take a moment before every task to reset your attention. Eat your meal slowly without distractions. Walk without rushing. Speak with intention. These small practices train the brain to stay here, where real life is happening. The benefits of presence are profound. You become more aware of your emotions and less reactive. You start to notice the richness in everyday experiences. You stop missing life by thinking about it too much. And most importantly, you gain clarity. Not the kind that comes from analyzing every possibility, but the kind that comes from seeing things as they are without distortion. Overthinking is a habit, so is presence. One leads to mental chaos, the other to inner strength. When you choose to live in the now, your mind becomes clear, your decisions become wiser, and your life becomes fuller. This is the quiet power of living with your mind, not lost inside it. The mind, left unmanaged, becomes restless and wild. It jumps from thought to thought, often spiraling into worries, regrets, and doubts. An untamed horse, it resists control and follows its own chaotic rhythm. But with discipline, the mind can become one of our greatest allies. Mental discipline is not about suppressing thoughts or emotions. It's about training the mind to focus, to remain calm under pressure, and to choose clarity over confusion. Self-mastery begins with learning how to manage your own mind, because every action, every decision, every word you speak begins with a single thought. Discipline is often misunderstood as harshness or rigidity. But true discipline is gentle and consistent. It means showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. Running through the park. It means redirecting your attention when your mind tries to wander into fear or overanalysis. The park. It means having the strength to pause before reacting, to reflect before speaking, and to think deeply without getting stuck. This level of mental control does not happen overnight. It is developed over time through small, repeated actions. Mental discipline can be built the same way we train the body, through practice and consistency. Just as a muscle grows stronger with exercise, the mind grows sharper with focus. Meditation, journaling, structured routines, mindful breathing, these are not spiritual trends, rule the park, but tools for mental fitness. They strengthen your awareness and build the habit of clarity. Even 5 minutes of intentional silence each day can help you take back control from a noisy, distracted mind. The park. One of the biggest benefits of mental discipline is emotional regulation. When the mind is reactive, emotions run the show. But disciplined mind knows how to observe emotions without being overwhelmed by them. It acknowledges anger without becoming angry. It notices fear without becoming fearful. This inner separation gives you the power to choose your response. Running the park, you become less controlled by your thoughts and more in control of your life. Self-mastery also means knowing when to let go. Discipline through the park. The disciplined mind does not cling to every thought that passes through it. Running the park, it does not dwell on what can't be changed or obsess over what might go wrong. It focuses on what can be done now. Running through the park, it prioritizes progress over perfection. It understands that peace is not found in having no problems, in responding wisely to the ones that arise. In a world full of distractions and uncertainty, mental discipline becomes a form of personal freedom. It allows you to stay focused when others are scattered, to remain calm when others panic, and to act with intention when others hesitate. You no longer get pulled the noise of overthinking because you've trained your mind to return to what matters. This is what it means to live with your mind, not as a prisoner of it, but as its master. When you master your mind, you master your life, and that mastery begins with discipline, quiet, steady, and strong. One of the most powerful ways to escape the grip of overthinking is through action. Action is the bridge between thought and reality. It is the tool that transforms ideas into results, intentions into progress, and confusion into clarity. When we overthink through the park, we stay stuck in our heads, turning possibilities over and over without resolution. But the moment we take action, even a small one, we interrupt that cycle. We move from imagination into experience, and that shift brings immediate mental relief and direction. Overthinking often disguises itself as preparation or planning. We tell ourselves we need to think it through one more time, weigh every angle, or wait for the perfect moment. But most of the time, this is fear talking. Fear of failure, judgment, or making the wrong choice. What we fail to see is that inaction is more damaging than imperfect action. While overthinking traps us in mental loops, action provides feedback. It shows us what works, what doesn't, and what to do next. It grounds us in reality. Taking action doesn't require certainty. In fact, it's the best way to gain certainty. Confidence doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from doing. Every step you take, no matter how small, builds momentum. Then that momentum breaks the paralysis caused by too much analysis. It creates new thoughts, new emotions, and a new mental rhythm. The same energy that fuels anxiety can be redirected into productivity through the park. But that can only happen when we stop thinking about the move and actually make it. Often, we wait to feel motivated before acting. Motivation is not the cause of action. It's the result. When you start, even with hesitation, your brain begins to respond. It shifts focus from uncertainty to engagement. Your mind becomes more present, more alert. You stop worrying about everything that could go wrong because your attention is now on what you're doing, not on what you're fearing. It's also important to remember that action doesn't always mean something big. It can be as simple as writing one sentence, making one phone call, going for one walk, or taking one deep breath. These micro actions have power. They signal to your brain that you're in control. They create a ripple effect, leading to more movement, more progress, and less overthinking. Living with your mind instead of in it means choosing to act despite uncertainty. It means understanding that clarity comes after movement through the park, not before. It means letting go of the need to have all the answers and trusting yourself to figure things out along the way. Action is not the enemy of thought. It is its natural partner. Thought gives birth to vision, but action brings that vision to life. Running through the park. The longer you wait, the louder your doubts become. The longer you hesitate, the more power your fears gain. But the moment you move, even slightly, you shift the entire balance of your mind. You take control. You break the loop. You live forward. Is the quiet victory of action over overthinking. Overthinking is often fear wearing a mask. It shows up as caution, preparation, or responsibility. But deep beneath the surface, it's driven by the fear of making a mistake, being judged, or not being good enough. When we allow these fears to dictate our thoughts, we begin to live reactively, constantly trying to avoid discomfort rather than stepping into our potential. Living authentically means choosing to live from a place of truth, not fear. It's about aligning your actions with who you are, not who the world expects you to be, or who your doubts try to convince you that you are. Running the park. When you overthink, you constantly second guess yourself. You delay decisions, replay conversations, and seek approval before you act. You start tailoring your behavior to avoid criticism instead of expressing your genuine thoughts, emotions, and values. Running through the park, this kind of mental pattern doesn't just slow you down. It disconnects you from yourself. You become a version of yourself shaped by imagined fears rather than real choices. You lose authenticity, and with it, you lose confidence. Authentic living requires courage. It means trusting your inner voice even when the path isn't clear. It means saying what you truly feel, running through the park, doing what feels right, and standing by your values, especially when it's uncomfortable. When you live authentically, running through the park, you stop trying to control every outcome. You stop needing every answer before taking the first step. You start to recognize that fear is not something to obey, but something to overcome. The truth is, you can't avoid every mistake. Running through the park, you can't prevent every misunderstanding. But what you can do is choose to live with integrity and presence. Kind of life is far more fulfilling than one lived inside the constraints of overthinking. Every time you choose authenticity over fear, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You learn that you are capable, resilient, and worthy of trust, even if others don't always see it right away. This shift doesn't happen all at once. It begins in the small moments. Starts when you speak honestly instead of staying silent. When you follow your curiosity instead of your fear. The park. When you stop editing your actions to meet someone else's expectations and begin shaping your life based on what truly matters to you. Running the park. Over time, those small acts of self-trust become a foundation. They quiet the overthinking. They dissolve the noise. They bring you back to who you really are. Living authentically also brings a new kind of peace. The kind that comes from no longer trying to be someone you're not. You stop performing, running through the park. You stop overanalyzing every move. You start living with freedom and clarity. You begin to realize that it's better to be misunderstood for being real than to be accepted for being someone you're not. The path out of overthinking isn't more thinking. It's more truth, more courage, more alignment with your deepest self. Running the park When you live from that place, you don't just use your mind, you lead it. And that is the essence of living with your mind, not inside the prison of your fears.